Okay, lesson 13 is the last lesson of 3 of solving equations. This one here, once again, is going to look a little bit different. But once again, you can also, they look a lot like fractions if you go through your page. Either you can keep them as fractions or change them to decimals. For the first example, we've seen this before, where last year you were really taught to cross multiply. So on your calculators, you would get an 8, and then whatever number is left over, you would then divide by 6 to get your answer. So you could easily get, so like I said, cross multiply and divide. So 4 times 2 divided by the 6 left over. You would get an answer of A is equal to 1.33 rounded properly. That's one way of doing it. Same concept with the expression on top. So if I go back and start over here, the expression on top that says, don't forget properties of proportions. The product of the extremes is equal to the product of the means. All that means is that these two, when you multiply them together, the extremes, you say A times 6 is equal to the product of these two on the other side. And when you actually do these, A times 6 is really just 6A. 4 times 2 is 8. And then you solve the equation by dividing each side by 6, which gives you the exact same answer. Next example, so we'll do several examples here so you can understand. Next one, again, product of the extremes, so 4x times a negative 4 on one side. The other side, nice and easy there, 8 times 2. The next step, these two multiplied, remember back to lesson 7, negative 16x is equal to 16. Back to the previous lesson, really baby lesson 6, divided by 16, divided by 16. X is equal to negative 1 as an answer. Next one. This one here looks a little bit like last year also. I can easily change this question to something, a fraction is equal to another fraction. You can do that. You could also do, let's get rid of this right away. 7 divided by 14 is decimal 5. X is equal to 2. Divide each side by 0.5. X is equal to 4. That's another way of approaching a question. Then we have a little bit more information happening here, right? A little bit more to the fraction is equal to another fraction. So again, you could definitely do this. Multiply these two together. 5 times 4x minus 6. Always thinking to that equal sign in the middle. Keep your highlighter there. Then you have the other side, nice and easy, 5 times 4. You can multiply that out right away. Then you're back to the previous lesson. So really the crisscross, I call it my crisscross method, but it's really product of the extremes and means. My crisscross method is extremes and means, and you're multiplying that out. Now we're back to lesson, right? Back to the previous lesson, lesson 12. Multiply this out, 20x minus 24. You guys had lots of practice of that, equals 20. Now we're back to lesson 6. I need to get rid of the minus 24, and I need to get rid of the 20 to leave x by itself. But step by step, remember my trick, the thing stuck on the x always is last. So let's get rid of the minus 24 by adding a 24 to each side. These two are gone. 20x is equal to 44. Then I have, whoops, I'm going to go back and fix my mistake here. Okay, 5. I don't know where I got 24 from. Maybe this is in my head, 4 times 6, but that's definitely not right. Because 5 times 6 is 30. So that totally changes my question. Sorry about that, guys. 30 and 30. This changes to a 30. So this doesn't change anything on this side. I still get a 20x on that side, but this side definitely changes this to a 50. Divide each side by 20. X is equal to 2.5 as a final answer. Last couple of examples here. Now I have those full questions. I'm going to do one as a decimal method and I'm going to do one as a fraction method, okay? So I can definitely, when it's a full fraction is equal to another full fraction, I can definitely do crisscross method. So let's do that here. Is 9 times this side and then 4 times this side. Brackets have to be there. 18x minus 9, 4x plus 12. So this is definitely lesson 13. Now we're down to lesson 12 and so on. Let's bring that. I need to focus on this one here. So plus 4 becomes a minus 4x on each side. It doesn't really matter where you put it, just don't forget it. So let's highlight stuff so you can see it. This did not change. This did not change. So notice the only thing I added on each side was -4, because my objective is to really get rid of this and this on the right hand side. So if I keep on solving here, I'm left with right away, right? 18 minus 4 is 14x minus 9, and I'm left with a 12 on the right hand side. My next step, I need to get rid of that -9 plus 9 on each side. That leaves me with 14x and 21. Your last step, I'm kind of running out of space here, but it would be x, because I'm going to divide each side by 14. Sorry about that. And that would give me x is equal to 1.5 as a final answer. The next question I'm going to solve as a fraction, as a decimal method, sorry. So this last one here, I'm going to do decimal method. Decimal method just means, let's go back to this, back to lesson 7. Just divide each side. Clean it up. So 3 divided by 6 is 0.5n. 2 divided by 6 properly is decimal 33. 2 divided by 2, sorry, is 1n. 1 divided by 2 is a 0.5. So I did decimal method this time. I'm back. So this here is way back to your lesson 6 and 7. Whenever you had fractions, you can change them to decimals. Now I'm back to lesson 12 where I have an n on each side. So let's go. If I have a plus n, I want a minus n, a 1n on each side. So don't forget to put that on each side. So remember again, if I highlight so you can see it, this hasn't changed at all. This has not changed, this one and this one. The only thing I kind of put on each side is -1 and -1 to get rid of that +1. So if I put my ends together, -1 and +0.5, which is really like $1 minus 50 cents, I'm left with -0.5n. 1 and -1 gone, and I'm left with a +5. In this one here, oh, I can't forget that. I'm almost about to forget this. Let me go back one little step. I'm checking over my work and I'm finding my own little mistakes, which is really important. So if I put the two ends together, I'm left with, that was right, negative 0.5, but I forgot to rewrite my little 0.33 here. This is gone, and I'm left with a 0.5. Keep on going. I want to get rid of this. I need to put that on each side. Makes it messy with all the decimals. And I have what left over here, this here, these two are gone. I do have a subtraction here, so calculators, I want to subtract 0.5 minus 0.33, and I'm left with 0.17. And your last step here, I'm going to divide, oh, that's, be careful, yeah, it is a positive 17 there. And my last step, I'm going to divide each side by negative decimal 5. Calculators, decimal 17 divided by decimal 5. I get a decimal 0.34. And I have a positive negative, so it's going to be a negative, and that variable is n is equal to negative decimal 34. If you kept it as a fraction, I believe your fraction would definitely be 1/3, which is really decimal 333 infinity. So because you had to round the 17, the decimal 17 up top here, because you rounded this over here along the way, it changes your answer a little bit. But I always have two different answer keys if there's potentially two different little differences in answers, okay?